นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะบุตทังธัมมังสังฆังกุณุตรังอุปัฏฐายังนามาสามิ So I'd like to pay my respects to the Venerable Sangha and to offer my blessings to all of you who have come here today to offer me such a warm welcome. Ever since I was a child, I have loved stories, and I hope you like stories too. And this afternoon, I am going to begin this talk by telling you a story from Japan. So there was once an old lady, and she was a very miserable old lady. She never smiled, and whenever anyone spoke to her, she was always very rude and unkind, and nobody wanted to visit her or spend time with her because she was so grim and unwelcoming. But she had one source of happiness in her life. She loved her grandson very much, and whenever her grandson came to her house, she was so happy. So her son and her daughter-in-law had passed away at an early age, and so she was looking after her grandson. Now in Japan, there is a special unique art, and this art, they use the special brush and they write the letters of the Japanese alphabet in a very beautiful way. And the grandson showed he had a real gift for this from an early age. So the grandmother, she had this hope that maybe the grandson could become an artist and that he could make a good life for himself in the world. So her dream was for her grandson to go to the big college in the capital city, but it's so difficult to get admitted to this college, so very strong competition from people all over the country. But it so happened this old lady had a relative in another city, and he was a famous artist in this style. And she decided to take her grandson to see him, for him to see her grandson's work, and then for him to write a letter of introduction to the principal of the big college in the capital city, of whom he was a friend. So when they had met the cousin, the relative, he agreed to write the recommendation. And on his desk he had all these very beautiful brushes for making the writing in this beautiful way. But instead of taking the beautiful brush, he took an old pencil from out of his desk and sharpened the pencil, and he wrote the letter in the pencil. The old lady was angry. She felt insulted because he would not use the proper brush. He only used the old pencil. And she thought she was too ashamed to take this to the principal of the college for the recommendation. But in the end, she decided to try. And she went to the capital city, and the principal took one look at the writing, and he said, if the writer of this letter recommends this boy, I will take him immediately. So the lady returned to her village, and the son went to the college. Some months later, the old lady's sister went to visit her in her village. She was so surprised. When she arrived, the old lady was smiling and received her with very warm welcome. And she noticed many of the younger women from the village were coming round to drink tea and to ask some family advice. She was so amazed that this old lady, who was such a unhappy, miserable lady, why has she suddenly changed so much? And the old lady, she asked her sister, and the old lady said, you know, when I went to see my cousin and he wrote the letter in the old pencil, I was so angry. I thought, how would this ever be accepted by the principal? But he took it straight away. Afterwards, I came home and I could not stop thinking about this. And then one day I realized I am like an old pencil. All these years I just thought, I'm an old pencil, I can't do anything. I'm hopeless. But he showed me with old pencil, if you just sharpen the pencil, you can create something beautiful. And I realized that now, even as an old lady, if I try hard, I can change myself and I can create something beautiful with my life. So Buddhism is about the study, the understanding of change. Is it possible to change? How do we change? How do we change for the better? So most religions believe that we have no independence, that our lives are determined by heavenly forces, by gods or whatever, and all we can do is to obey the teachings in their holy book, or maybe we can perform some ceremonies, or maybe we can pray or sing. So these are the usual answers. These religions teach that the cause of our suffering or of our happiness lies outside of ourselves. So the Buddha was the great revolutionary. He taught us that the cause of suffering and the cause of happiness is not outside, it's within us, every one of us. So these days we are all familiar with the word technology. And when we think of technology, we think of things like computers and recording devices. And these all things are material things. But the teachings of the Lord Buddha are the spiritual technology. And this, it is only when we use these two together wisely, the material technology and the spiritual technology of the Buddha, that our lives will truly flourish. So the Buddha taught us that suffering arises because we do not understand our life. And when we don't understand our life, then greed, hatred, and delusion manifest in our minds. So from this teaching, we can see that we all have certain challenges. If suffering arises from the defilements of greed, hatred, and delusion, then we need to find a way to prevent those things from coming into our mind. But as that's very difficult, we also need to find a way to let go of the defilements that have already arisen. And if true happiness is the result of the cultivation, the systematic cultivation of virtues, we need to find a way to bring into our mind the virtues that are not yet present. And finally, we need to learn how to take care of the virtues that have already arisen and to develop them until they reach maturity. So let us take an example of the meditation practice. We focus on a particular object, for example, the breath. So how do we focus? We focus in such a way that the unarisen defilements cannot arise in the mind. But as that is very difficult, we also learn how to let go of the defilements that arise during meditation. For example, mental agitation or sleepiness, for example. When we meditate, then we need to establish many good qualities in our mind. Mindfulness, sampajanya or clear comprehension, patience, contentment, for example. And then once those qualities start to appear in our mind in meditation, then we learn the skill of developing them further and bringing them to maturity. So many people feel there's a big gap between what they do when they're meditating and their daily life. When people have their eyes closed, they can be quite peaceful, but then in daily life, not so peaceful. So how do we deal with this gap? So if we take these 4 efforts that I explained just now, we can see a bridge between meditation and daily life. Let me give you an example. If you are going to work in the morning, then maybe on the way to work, there's sometimes something that makes you angry or irritated. If you're someone who is driving a car, for instance, then maybe you get upset with the people who drive selfishly or carelessly. Or if you're walking to your workplace, maybe someone who you see every day behaves in a way that you don't like. So here we have the same principle. You have the challenge. How can I fulfill my duty, my responsibility, my work, whatever it may be, in such a way that the defilement does not come into my mind? But if it does come into my mind, what do I have to do to let it go? And similarly, wherever you are, whether it's at home with your family or your workplace or whatever you're doing, you have this challenge. It's like, what good quality can I develop in my mind here and now, right now? What good quality? So if there's a lot of things going on, you cannot want to just be with your breath. That would not be responsible. So you need to adapt, and you think, well, maybe patience is a good quality to develop right now. Or if you are in some meeting or you're talking with other people, then I will develop right speech, good speech, true, kind, honest speech. So if you look at your life in terms of these challenges, to protect your mind from the bad qualities and let go of the bad qualities, to bring into your mind the good qualities and to train the good qualities, then you can see that what you are doing when you close your eyes in meditation and what you're doing in daily life, not so different. So the meditation practice is very important, but it's not like a magic solution to all of life's problems. Because if we're not putting effort into our daily life and our relationship with our family and the people around us, then the meditation will never really lead to wisdom and liberation. So the meditating every day and going on courses, you learn some very important skills, and particularly you learn how to let go of the sensual desire and the anger and this kind of defilement. And meditation is the most powerful way of dealing with this kind of negative emotion. But meditation is not so good for dealing with pride and conceit and getting very attached to your ideas and beliefs and opinions. These kinds of defilements are more easily dealt with in community and in having to live with people who look at you differently than you look at yourself. So our life is so short. We don't have enough time to hold on to anger. Sometimes in family, the husband and the wife have some argument and they hold on to the anger for days. And each one, the husband wants to have the victory over the wife, and the wife wants to have the victory over the husband. But this is so foolish, because we don't know how much longer we have to live in this world. We don't know how much time we still have together. So the Buddha is teaching us to value our time and to use our time to abandon the defilement and develop the good quality and to live together with love and respect and forgiveness. I was born in England, and as a teenager I felt like my home was a prison. I never wanted to live in England. I always feel a very strong pull towards India. Even as a child, I just want to go to India. I don't want to live in England. At school, I was put up 1 year, so I completed high school at 17 instead of 18. And as soon as I finished school, I went to work on a building site, warehouse, and I made enough money that in November 1975, I set off for India. But I didn't come by aeroplane. I came by road and by train. So very long way. And when I arrived in India, I was so happy. And I like to travel by hitchhiking, right from England. You hitchhike, you stand by the side of the road and you ask someone to go, if you can go with them. And often people are driving, they want some friend because otherwise they drive alone, they're sleepy. So you can be their friend and you meet so many people you would not meet otherwise in this way of traveling. So in December of 1975, I was traveling from Agra to Mumbai. And I was given the lift by the truck, the big lorry, the truck. And about 9 or 10 o'clock, I got sleepy. And the driver, he wasn't happy. He stopped the truck and he said, you can go up. So above the cab, of the truck, there's a storage space. He said, you go up there, you can sleep up there. So I climbed up on top and the truck carried on the way to Mumbai. I'm just laying on my back like this, looking at the stars. And I think this is the happiest I've ever been in my life. I thought, I am free. Nobody knows who I am. I can go where I want. I can do what I want. For the first time in my life, I feel free. But then as the days passed by and the weeks passed by, it became more and more clear to me that it was not my home that was my prison. It is the defilements. I'm still, even traveling alone like this, nobody telling me what to do. Yeah, my greed is telling me what to do. My anger is telling me what to do. My delusion is telling me what to do. And I realized, yes, this prison is real, but it's inside my heart. So I must find some way of getting out of this inner prison. So I eventually returned to England, and after some months, I joined a monastery in England, and then went to Thailand, and after 6 years in Thailand, I went back to visit my mother and father for the first time. And as we were driving home from the monastery in England to my parents' home, my mother turned to me and she said, if I had known you would only live with us for 17 years, I would never have got so angry with you over the small things that I did. One of these things was I had the long hair, and my mum, she wanted to cut my hair. And she said, if I knew you were going to leave England for so long, from such a young age, I would never have made such a fuss about your long hair. I myself was thinking the same thing. I think, I lived with my parent for such a short time. I make such a fuss about my hair. And now I shave it all off anyway. I have no hair now, and I feel so stupid, that I caused my parents so much suffering over such a small, silly thing when I was a teenager. But you know, it's very easy to be wise afterwards. But it's not so easy to be wise when you have the problem with the people around you right now. And this is why we need to use the Buddhist teaching to find some peace and some patience and some compassion. And I hope that you can all learn from my lesson, and in your own family, if you have some disagreement and some bad feeling, then you remember you don't know how many more years, how many more months, how many more days that you will have together. So value this time, this very precious time that you have together, and use it to grow in good qualities and to find some peace and love together. Though the Buddhist technology, the Buddhist teaching can help us to be in the present moment more, to experience our life more fully, not to get caught up in the memory, not to get caught up in the thought of the future. Of course, we need memory. Of course, we need imagination. But if we get caught in them and we get deluded by them, then we lose our present moment. And in life, it's all we really have. This is our treasure, the present moment. So we need to learn the skill to be present to our life. So the important thing is to be consistent and keep working the bad habits. They won't go away immediately. And the peace and the calm of meditation, they won't come so easily for all of you. You have to be very patient. So my teacher, he compared to the people thousands of years ago when they want to make fire. And they take two sticks and they rub and they rub and they rub and they rub. And sooner or later, the warmth, the heat is enough to make a spark. And from the spark, they can make fire. But if some people, they may be there putting the sticks together and then they get tired, the arm is tired, or they get bored, or maybe they start to think, is this true? Can you really make the fire from two sticks? I don't know. And then maybe they put the sticks down for a while, take a rest, do something else, and then they think they can just carry on. But this is not work you can put down like a piece of writing and then start again. If you put down, then the warmth is lost, and you're starting from zero all over again. And so it becomes even more frustrating. And the practice of the Buddha's teaching is like this with the sticks. You have to keep going, whether you feel enthusiastic or you feel bored. You just have to keep going. So I'd like to offer my blessings to all of you, that you will be patient and dedicated and keep working away at this education and training of your actions and your speech and your mind, so that the defilement, all the negative things, will get less and less every day, and the wholesome and the beautiful and noble qualities will grow every day, so you can find true peace and happiness and wisdom in your life.